Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Tuesday night, Kirby Smart, the Georgia Bulldogs, land a very intriguing wide receiver in the 2025 class in four-star wideout Taen Taylor from the state of Illinois. As a Michigan fan, this kid was high up on Michigan's board. I was hoping he'd wind up in Ann Arbor. Kirby Smart ends up landing the commitment, and I think he's intriguing because he's a wide receiver that doesn't necessarily have the blazing track and field times. He doesn't have the biggest frame of this 2025 class, but what he's really elite at and why you're seeing him as a top 100 national prospect is the movement skills, the ability to create separation early in his route trees. It's absolutely elite. And you start taking a look at the wide receivers that have had a lot of success at the college and NFL level. I mean, yes, all of these guys are phenomenal athletes. Taen Taylor certainly is that too. He wouldn't be a top 100 national prospect if he wasn't. But all these wide receivers are being successful because they can create separation and they have those movement patterns. You ask a guy like Ladd McConkey, you ask a guy like Justin Jefferson in the NFL, this is suddenly becoming a trait that I think for the last 5 years was really overlooked. And I think a lot of people were just looking for the freakiest pass catchers that they could find with kind of guys flying under the radar who are just damn good wide receivers. Taen Taylor is one of those guys, and Kirby Smart's doing a great job of kind of evaluating and finding these kind of wide receivers, right? You look at Ladd McConkey, a guy like Dylan Bell, guys who just know how to play the wide receiver position. They check a lot of boxes. That's kind of Taen Taylor's MO for this Georgia program. Really excited to get into the film, talk about what he brings to this Georgia offense. Before we do it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to Georgia fans. We've been talking a lot of Georgia on the recruiting trail the last couple of days. The amount of support y'all have shown truly does mean a lot. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Taen Taylor now. I do want to say that this kid's a pretty damn good athlete. I'm talking about the route running and the separating. That's what I love most after watching the film. But this is a guy that has a track and field background. He has a solid frame at 6'1", 175, had a really good OT7 over the weekend, that 7-on-7 camp in Tampa, Florida. But when you look at Taen Taylor, what does he bring the most to this Georgia offense? I think it's the ability to separate. And you see that, I mean, really clearly on the film. This is a guy that, again, is not going to wow you with the straight line speed or the big-time physical presence and frame. You take a look at him working on the boundary right here, bottom of our screen. This is what I love about Taen Taylor. I mean, he is just an elite route runner, knows how to set up defensive backs, knows how to create separation. He can operate after the catch. I mean, you go back to this look here, he's got three guys that are going to be dropping back kind of in that zone, and he's got to separate on all three of them, puts this cornerback, boundary cornerback in an absolute blender, creates separation, gets his head around to the quarterback, makes the play, gets into the end zone. You continue to work through the film, very similar look right here where he's going to kind of just run a routine 10-yard out to the boundary. The ball should be coming out here, right? But you kind of see the elite ability to create separation early in these routes. A guy that just knows how to run his routes, create that separation. Ball should come out now. One thing that you're going to see on this play is the tremendous feel that he has as a wide receiver too. Like, all right, the first play kind of breaks down. How can I be a quarterback-friendly pass catcher, create some separation as my quarterback's buying some time? And that's something you see, just a really strong control over the wide receiver position, a really good understanding of what your job is as a wide receiver. And I think, again, it's really fun to talk about 10.5 track times. It's really fun to talk about the 6'3", 215-pound wide receivers coming out of high school. These kids aren't always as fun to talk about. In my mind, they certainly are. But for Georgia fans, you're getting a good one. Again, separation, ball should be coming out now. Quarterback buys some time. Taen Taylor knows how to create a little bit more separation, continue to work with his routes. And you do see the elite athleticism too. Like, this kid can absolutely roll. I'm not trying to say that he's not a fast wide receiver by any means. Kind of similar to how we talked about Ladd McConkey. Like, we talked about Ladd in terms of his ability to create separation. He was also a phenomenal athlete. Just nobody really gave him credit for being that elite athlete because he was kind of known as a separator. You continue to work through the film. some really good ball skills. Again, not the biggest frame, but knows how to track the football, go up, work through contact, and make plays. You're going to see it again in the red zone play. Again, I think he checks a lot of boxes, but I think the thing you're most excited about is how we can create separation. Really laid hands here. And this is something that you don't see a ton from high school wide receivers. You want to go as late as you can to go play the football, so the defensive back's not knowing when the football is coming. Laid hands, goes up immediately, catches the football, works through contact. I really like this kid. I think this is a sneaky, really good get for Georgia. And you take a look at the 2025 cycle. It was, what, about 6 days ago when we were talking about Zayden Walker committing to Georgia. Georgia was outside of the top 15. And what do we say? We're not worried about Georgia. We're not worried about Kirby Smart on the recruiting trail. Within the last week, they're a top 4 class in the country, trending to be a top 3 class in the country. This is the secret for Georgia. They just continue to win on the recruiting trail. And you start taking a look at how this Georgia recruiting class is coming together. I think there's a lot to be excited about, right? You have a guy in Ryan Montgomery who I've just stated I am a massive fan of, because I think Ryan Montgomery commits to Georgia following a guy that with Jerry Curtis committing in the 2026 class. What does that tell you? It kind of tells you the same thing we said about Ryan Puglisi in the 2024 class. This kid's not afraid to come in and compete for a starting opportunity. You don't see a lot of quarterbacks commit to a program that has the number 1 quarterback in the 2026 class committed. Ryan Montgomery didn't give a dang. Like, he wants to come in and compete. So I think Ryan Montgomery is a quarterback that I'm a really big fan of. You take a look at them valuing the positions that have gotten them where they are. Elite linebacker play, Zayden Walker, Ethan Barber, Ellis Williams, some elite tight end play. Georgia knows what they are on the recruiting trail. They know what they need to do to get to the upper echelon of college football. They know the positions that they prioritize. That's exactly what they're doing in this 2025 cycle. Taen Taylor, another guy that I'm fired up about. We'll cut it there. Sorry this is coming late. You guys know I like to get these out as quickly as possible. Had some dinner, a dinner plan, I guess you'd say, last night. Couldn't get to it till this morning. Appreciate y'all rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.